Hello, everybody. My name is Noel Muniz, and I am super excited to talk to you today about a video game that I just recently played. And I know that I am super late to the party, but I am an adult now with adult money, so I was able to purchase the game. I recently just played Silent Hill 3, and I would love to talk to you guys about it today. So, the version that I played is this one here. It is the Silent Hill HD collection, and I know some of you are probably going to be like, why would you do that to yourself? But honestly, I played a little bit of the PS2 version with this as well after finishing this one. And, the differences aren't too great. I don't really think it's like a huge deal. And I know that my perspective might be narrowed a little bit because I only played this version, but I will continue to play the PS2 version and hopefully notice some of the differences that everybody talks about. Um, so, so what is Silent Hill about, right? Silent Hill 3. I have a photo of it here. This is a video thumbnail from, End of Small Sanctuary. So, Silent Hill 3 follows Heather Mason, a teenage girl who begins experiencing disturbing nightmares and visions of Silent Hill, a town tied to her mysterious past. As Heather tries to understand these visions, she is confronted by grotesque monsters and sinister cult members who seem to know more about her than she does. It is revealed that Heather is a reincarnation of Alessa Gillespie, a girl who was used in the cult's rituals to birth their god. The cult known as the Order seeks to bring about the apocalypse by completing a ritual involving Heather. Heather is pursued by the cult members involving Claudia, a high-ranking member who believes in the cult's twisted ideals. Heather is aided by Douglas Cartland, a private investigator hired to find her, who becomes her ally in navigating the horrors of Silent Hill. Together they uncover more about Heather's past, her connection to Alessa, and the cult's plans. As Heather delves deeper into Silent Hill and its nightmarish otherworld, she confronts her own fears, battles monstrous creatures, and ultimately faces off against the cult's god. Throughout her journey, Heather struggles with her identity and the truth about her existence. The game explores themes of guilt, redemption, and the consequences of one's actions. Depending on the player's choices, the game offers different endings that reflect Heather's fate and the resolution of the cult's plans. So, what I just read was, a little summary from SilentHillMemories.net, right? And it's a great site. I was looking for a summary because I wanted to make sure that I explained it right in this video by using a pretty reliable source. So, that's the story. The story is actually insane. And if you're watching this, yes, there are going to be spoilers. So some things that the summary didn't mention, I guess just for spoiler's sake, is, throughout the game, her father dies, and is murdered by one of Claudia's monsters. And the ending of the game, and I guess that would depend on which ending you get. The ending I got is where you kill the god, right, that was thrown up by Heather. So, moving away from story, because story is great, but the game is, the experience is really what I wanted to talk about. So, Silent Hill originally came out on the PlayStation 2 and has an HD collection along with Silent Hill 2 that came to Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. The camera angle of the gameplay usually depends on where you are in a room, and that's one of my few complaints where oftentimes I find myself battling with the camera angle because I just walked into a hallway where there's monsters and I want to face them to know how far away they are from me for me to be able to hit them, right? So and then other key gameplay mechanics is that you have a pause menu, you have items, you have your key items, you have the stuff, your healing items, you have your weapons, right? Heather uses weapons like katanas, pipes, guns. She uses a stun gun later game, and yeah. So the game mostly focuses on puzzle games, sorry, more puzzle solving in some areas. It's kind of weird. Some people would call it puzzles because the game doesn't always tell you exactly how to do it. But most of the time, you have to figure out where to use the items that you find from exploring. If you can do that, then you're great. And I would say just experiment with using your items as much as you can on things that maybe you didn't think were interactable items, right? And so the puzzle's difficulty will vary on the difficulty you selected at the beginning of the game, because there's the game difficulty and then the riddle difficulty, right? Um, so yeah, and so let's talk about the atmosphere of this game, which is really what I love about it. Um, this game has an atmosphere unlike any other I've played before. Silent Hill 3 slowly progresses into a grotesque, bloody, and disturbing atmosphere of a video game, and it's true. As you play the game, you are encountering monsters, and then literally Heather descends into like the deepest, darkest depths, and as she descends, the world becomes more like grotesque and bloody and disgusting. And it's crazy looking back on it, thinking like this was a PlayStation 2 game, and thinking about like the amount of kids that, if they, depending on how far they got in the game, if their parents ever bought it for them, were probably severely traumatized by the eerie noises of the monsters and just the this bloody, disgusting scenery, like you see here on the video here. So let's talk about sound. So the composer for Silent Hill 3 also does the music for the other ones, and his name is Akira Yamaoka. And the soundtrack for the game is amazing. One of the ones that stuck out to me the most that I remember is End of Small Sanctuary, which is a song that you hear very early in the game that goes da da dee da, right? And I think the sound of the monsters throughout the game are the most impressive things about it, and it's true. This game has some eerie sounds for its monsters. They're very specific and, very impressive. I guess I could say how you'll hear like, but like it sounds so real, and the eerie screechy static noises from some of the enemies, which it just makes you panic immediately. And I guess that's what it's supposed to do. It's like, oh, you're getting close to an enemy. Well, now we're gonna play really loud, freaky music so that your heart rate goes up. And it succeeds at that, definitely. Um, so the total gameplay is about 6 hours long. That can vary depending on how long it takes for you to do the puzzles, and I'm assuming that if you take a while longer with the puzzles, that's probably going to be about maybe another hour gameplay for you. Technical performance, I didn't have any issues. I will say for the HD collection, especially after I played a little bit of Silent Hill 2, I was super disappointed with the clouds. The clouds were essentially gone, like the fog in Silent Hill. It was just not there. It was just a gray blur. And I was really disappointed. I'm like, wow, this is supposed to be an HD port, and they literally just made gray instead of actual fogs with depth, which like the game before it had. And I don't know, that's kind of weird. And I didn't have any other problems with the performance of the game other than that. In terms of accessibility, the PlayStation, there's no PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Series X/S, or PlayStation 5 versions of this game, or at least yet. And that kind of, takes off points for it in terms of accessibility, because if you want to own this game, like own a physical copy, or even play it, you would have to, well, Xbox has it on the store. I would have to check for PlayStation, but I think that there's a lot of potential in this game, absolutely, and I can only imagine what a remake of the game would look like. It would scare so many people. Like imagine like all of those horrific corridors, but like done like, you know, with modern hardware and modern graphics, it would blow people's minds. Um, so yeah, overall impressions, you know, it has a very crazy convoluted story, and the lore drops are all throughout the books, and information throughout the game. And I love Heather's character. Um, I really love, like, I like her aesthetic, and I love the early 2000s aesthetic of the game. I love the enemies. I love the puzzle solving. I love the boss fights. There are some boss fights. I think there's about three or four really. Um, Trying to remember. I think about four, like at least four major ones. And they are all really iconic. And the only thing I thought while playing the game was like, wow, wouldn't this look amazing on modern hardware, like on a PlayStation 5, um, or PC, right? And so we're gonna see Silent Hill 2 coming out, which I'm looking forward to playing. I haven't really been playing two, like the PS2 version, that much. I would like to play it more. I just haven't really been drawn into the game as much as I was with three, and I suppose that maybe that's just a me thing. Two, I've heard two is obviously considered the better one, which is probably why it's getting a remake before any other one in the series is. But yeah, so it has a really great scary story, very complicated and convoluted a little bit. It can be, if you didn't play the other games. Um, has great music, great atmosphere. Um, you know, great. How would you say it? Great structure. The level structure is great. You kind of feel like when you're approaching the end, of a certain area. The bosses are interesting. I would love to see those bosses come to life in a new version. Um, and so yeah, that's sort of what I thought about the game. I just kind of wanted to share my thoughts about this wonderful game, and I'm sorry if I spoiled anything for you, but the game is. But if you're gonna watch a Silent Hill video on YouTube, I imagine that you were ready for some spoilers. Hopefully, right? So thank you, and have a great day. Please let me know what you think about the game if you get around to playing it. Bye bye.